You're listening to the UK Christian Hip Hop Podcast on Kingdom Culture.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 18 of the UK Christian Hip Hop Podcast on Kingdom Culture. And we're joined with DJ KATY and myself. Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. Good.
That's good to hear. We're not joined with Calvin today because he's got prior arrangements. And hopefully he'll be back on the next episode. But obviously we're here to still discuss all things CHH and, you know, hip hop in general, and have a good discussion and talk about a few points that are, you know, on our minds, you know, going through the community and whatnot. And hopefully we can come to a some sort of resolution or a good discussion and whatnot. But Cash, you're in America, aren't you, right now?
I am. I mean, I'm over in the USA. I'm in Florida. On a nice vacation, but you know, I thought I'd come and have a chat with you all.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Calvin's not here, so you know, but he, as you said, he'll be back next episode. So I thought, you know,
that's brilliant. I'm glad you're there enjoying yourself. You know, I'm over here in England. It's sunny, as you can see.
Yeah, I can see the sun out there actually. So I was wondering, I was meant to ask you, what's the temperature like that?
Temperature is decent. Yeah. Like I think it's like 24 degrees outside there.
I'm in my 30s up here.
See, that's nice. But yesterday it rained the whole day. Like, do you know that downpour raining? Yeah, the whole day.
Yeah, that's what I was told actually. I was told that it was raining quite a bit. Actually, it did rain over here. So I'm not gonna lie, it has been raining in the afternoons, but it's like patchy. But when it rains over here, when you're driving, you can only see literally like, I would say about no more than 10 meters in front of you. It's mad. The rain out here is mad. I'm like, you can't even, how do you even drive? Like, because we just wanted to get to our destination where we was coming from. We just wanted to get back. And the rain, it came down so heavy, literally 10 meters in front of us was the furthest we could see. And some people weren't putting on their lights. I'm like, oh, actually, no, I have a funny story. Like before we start, I had a funny story, right? Because there was like, because there was traffic on, there was the I-4. And so there was this, there's this, I don't know if it's a slip road. It's actually like a verge, you know, like those things that, those little grass areas that will connect to another lane of motorway somewhere else. Well, we call it motorway. I don't know what they call it over here. But so this van, it was a church van. Freeway, that's it, yeah. So there's a church van, didn't want to sit in the traffic. So it went on like what we would call like the hard shoulder. So it drove on the hard shoulder, which is like probably not a lane to go on. And then decided it wanted to cross through the grass to go onto another side to try and cut out the traffic. However, it went onto the grass area because it had rained. It was slippery, so it couldn't get up the grass area. And like they have like a sheriff or ranger or something like that. Don't they call them motorway or freeway rangers? And so, but I think they rescue people from the motorway anyway. But you see him coming along because the guy basically done an illegal move anyway, because he was trying to cross lanes. And but he got stuck. And then it's the fact that it was a church van, that's what made me laugh. Like, we're like, me and my husband are like, why is this a church van, man? Why is he doing this? And like the fact he was stuck, you see his wheels spinning in the mud, and the ranger was just filming him. Like, you know, I'm like, is he not going to help him? But it's like, well, the fact is he shouldn't be trying to do that anyway.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Like, the man took the church van and he's doing them kind of maneuvers. Like, what are you doing? The thing is, I didn't even film it because I was in so much shock, thinking, hold on. And it says something about resurrection something on the side. I don't want to hurt up the name of the church. And I'm like, nah. The man took the church van and did illegal moves, and now he's just got caught by the ranger.
Oh, that's dead, man. But that's good to hear that you're out there having fun. Like, you know, well, I don't know if that's fun, but you know what I mean? Like, you're out there experiencing Florida and the US in its own capacity. We still got some things that have raised some issues over here in the UK, and I'm sure over in the States as well, where you are. And one of those is there's a list that has been compiled. I don't know too much about the list and who's on the list and whatnot, but there was a list of different artists rated from like 1 to 50 of, you know, almost like whether it may be the greatest of all time or the most record souls or the most influential to the genre, what it is. So there was a second one with like, you know, Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, Eminem, all these heads. And then, you know, CHH decided to make a list for themselves. And and it kind of created a bit of a division. You know, like the Christian I'm a Christian rapper.
Yeah.
I'm a rapper who's a Christian kind of thing. That divide between, you know, Christians, it almost made a similar division. Maybe not to the same effect, but it had a similar kind of divisive maneuver attached to it. And so people who had number one. Obviously, you're looking at number one straight away, like who is like, you know, this media company, this outlet put as number one. And a few people had Lecrae at the top, some people had NF, some people had other people and whatnot. But it wasn't just like a harmless, like, yo, this is my opinion. What do you think? It was kind of seen as like you were sending for other people who aren't in your top 10 or even top 5. So it's created a, you know, quite a discussion that doesn't seem to be healthy. My point of view. I see as you know, I see it, maybe it was made with good intentions, but it doesn't seem like it's played out that well. So my question was, you know, do you think, you know, CHH should have made a top 50 list, especially, you know, with the nature of Christianity, you know, the impartiality that God treats us with, with Christ. He didn't have like, okay, he had you know, his circle, you know, the 3 and then the 12 and then, you know, the rest and whatnot. He had his circle, but do you believe that was a healthy move from platforms like Rapzilla, Trackstars? I can't confirm Trackstars because I didn't see a list, but the Crew Nation and so forth. Do you believe that was a good move to excite the fans and supporters of CHH into, you know, debating and discussing? Just a question.
I mean, I think because we're in a lot of people, I'm not saying all, but I'm sure most people that do listen to CHH are probably may have been in secular music anyway, or may were not Christians, non-Christians beforehand. So they're probably used to seeing top 1 to 50. And some people I know actually do want that because they can't, you know, but some people don't. So it's like, you know, you're not going to please everyone. That's what I've come to realize. You're not going to please everyone. However, it depends on if you're ranking them as the best of all time, like, because some artists to me maybe say better than the known ones at the time. You know, their music may just be better that year. They may not get as much streams as those known artists, but to me their music is good. You know, so you know, I don't know whether if it was a case of, I don't know how they came to that decision, whether or not they had a group of people voting from all different, you know, that people, media outlets that deal with CHH. Maybe that's something that would be a better idea. Or they actually went to the public, because a lot of these, some of these votes that do happen are, you know, in mainstream are done public voting. So people are voting for their favourite. So at least, you know, it's a bit more legitimate that way, sort of thing, rather than it can be just 5 people's opinion, which why probably some people might take offence that way. So, you know, I don't know. It depends on I suppose it, like I said, depends on the reasoning behind why they did it. Like, you know, for me, I haven't actually looked at the list, but I know I have seen a few lists over a couple of years that do pop up, and some of them are built on people's plays on Spotify, or, you know, how much followers they have. I mean, they use all types of ways of how to say why they're the biggest. But like I said again, not necessarily that their music was the greatest that year.
Exactly.
So,
very good point.
Yeah. So which confuses me, because to be honest, I mean, like for me, like I would say US artists who I've liked so far this year a lot. There are a few, but one of them I've liked really so far is Paris Charis. Like, you know, and you know, if I was gonna do a list, I probably would put him in my top 10, like in that list down there. But I'm saying that's for me what I felt, who I know, who I've listened to music, who've done music this year, and who I've enjoyed so far. You know, even like One Day, you know, and not because she's just throwing Reach records. It's, to me, it's just that there's a whole list of things, you know, of, you know, how she you can see where she's not just doing music, but also it's this other stuff she's doing behind that as well. And, you know, her interaction with people, and, you know, how it is. I mean, there's a lot of things. So not just based on streams. I mean, I'm assuming that's what they've done the list on, based on numbers and
it's I think it's a combination of you're right, streams, it might be influence as well, what they've done for the genre. A lot of people are arguing the fact that there were some people on the list, or quite a few, who don't even subscribe to CHH. And this is not, again, you're not CHH, you are CHH. It's nothing to do with that. It's the fact that this list is specifically to Christian hip hop artists. So people are arguing, why is NF on there, and why is Lecrae on there? You know, whether or not his stance is now the same after that kind of Trackstar interview to, you know, to be more inclusive of CHH. Who knows? But it was, everybody had their own reasons for compiling their own list. But it seems like it's created a division. You see, my take on it is, I don't see I can see the harmlessness of it. I can see it's harmless. I can see it's like, yo, we're just having fun. Yo, who's your top 10? Like, you would do that for more or less any product in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Food. Yeah, do it for food. You know what I mean? That's true.
What's your top 5 restaurants? You know, you kind of like, you do that. And I guess like, it's everybody's own interpretation of it. But you know, like the CHH community is quite sensitive, as you already know. Just like the community is with the Biggie versus Tupac. I remember when that was, you know, top of the headlines. There was a huge like divide between, like, you know, the East Coast, West Coast kind of thing, and the same thing when we had over here between Tottenham and Hackney and whatnot. You had this divide, and people just took sides, and it just seems like that's what's happening here. It's like people haven't taken it in its innocence; they've taken it as offence, and people are getting annoyed, they're getting angry, they're getting, you know, they're disputing about something that I don't really think is important. And not only that as well, it's breeding a competition as well between artists to. They're people at the same time, you know. You know, they read these things, they watch these things, and it affects them. You know, I got a tweet from Eshon Burgundy, and this tweet ain't got a timestamp on it. Oh, 8th of August, 2019.
Yes. Okay.
Eshon Burgundy wrote, the only reason my words have impact is because the scripture woven into all of my lyrics. It ain't my skill set. I stopped trying to be the best rapper 10 years ago. No lie. Put the Holy Ghost name on that list. Salute, kind of hashtags he was putting next to it. So I believe that was in some sort of response to, you know, maybe his position on the list and whatnot. But I thought that was a really profound response. It wasn't loaded with a whole lot of self-religious, you know, nonsense you can get from some articles and some posts, from people. But it was quite direct, and it's kind of like, yo, I'm not about this thing, you know. I've been doing this. I'm all about bringing glory to God. And that hashtag, put the Holy Ghost name on that list, was quite profound. So I'm not saying that it affected him. I'm not making any type of you know, conclusions here, but you can see that the response to it
has. Yeah, it has. And that's the thing. I mean, I'm hoping that CHH artists don't, I'm not saying don't take it serious, but for me, it's like, you know, you shouldn't, like I said, I mean, I can assume that in the top of the list is probably Lecrae and NF and Andy Minno's probably up there, and KB, you know, I can just imagine. I mean, if I was to look at one of them, I'd probably guarantee to see them in the top 10. A lot of them, to me, is probably based on, like I said, streaming numbers. But however, you know, I would say KB's a great artist, so, you know, I would put him in the top 10 anyway. But what I'm saying is for me, it's there's more to it, and I would do it based on the music their music. I mean, if it was a case of certain songs, you know, you probably get a few songs and then listen to them and decide from it. I don't know, because like I said, some of these artists, they like Eshon Burgundy and even how do I say his name right? Jared Sanders. Like he's got some great music out as well. So you get what I mean? So
well, he may
not have streaming numbers as some of those other ones like Lecrae and things like that. But however, his music is top. So
well, let me throw. This is the Crew Nation's top 5. Number 1, Lecrae. Number 2, NF. Number 3, KB. Number 4, Ambassador. Number 5, Derek Minor.
Right.
Then number 6, Bizzle. Number 7, Flame. Number 8, T-Bone. Number 9, Jackie Hill. number 10, Andy Mineo. That's their top 10.
Yeah.
Like you've got people like, you know, Dissel, who's 19. You got Tadashi, number 33. You've got Parish Chariz,
Yeah.
26.
Right.
Ruslan, 27. You've got Belief. Again, he's like, again, not part of CHH and whatnot.
He's not even, I see him on TV out here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like,
he's number 16, KJ52, number 27 is 22. Which
why would they even have Belief in there? Belief ain't even doing no music like that. So
well, that's I think their list was, I believe, to a tweet that they put out, was purely about influence, about the influence that they've had. So like someone like NF, even though he doesn't subscribe to CHH, has done something, you know, big for it in terms of people. But then again, on at number 50, Chance the Rapper, 49, Kirk Franklin.
Kirk Franklin was in there.
Mm-hmm. At number 49.
But he's not CHH at all.
So again, you know, I believe it's opinion. It's you know,
exactly.
What
That's the thing.
they
That's
believe.
their opinion. So they've, you know, as they said, those that have influence. You know, I suppose, you know, yeah. But then why they not got Mary in there then? I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Was Mary in there? So so I don't know. I think that's probably just their opinion. I would. I mean, it would be nice that maybe if we was going to do a genuine one, that maybe all the social media, all the media outlets came together, you know. But then it'll be our opinion, you know. But then we all vote on that sort of thing. But again, like I said, personally, it's other people's opinion. Other people, I would have a totally different list to what they've just done. My list would. Some of those people, I don't know what you've mentioned there, wouldn't even be where. If I did a list, because it would be based on what my opinion is, based on how I feel that they've influenced.
But I feel like maybe the reason why a lot of people have responded a bit adversely to media outlets, because it seems more conclusive. You know, if it was an individual, so say for instance, DJ Cassie's top 50 CHH artists would be a bit more accepted because it's a personal thing. But I think when you come through the logo of your brand and you put top 50, you're kind of like making a statement as to say, this is like, right, because obviously that's what media outlets work on, isn't it? You know, confidence in what you know, the details and the information that they know. They come with that and say, look, this is what's happening, this is the latest music and whatnot. So if you say something like that through the same logo, I think that can have an adverse effect. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people have had that kind of like, yo, what do you mean? How come this person's at this number and how come this person even on the list? I think that's probably why it's had an adverse reaction. And I just don't know. I think it's good to have in your private space, but I think publicly, you know, with a sensitive community, I think you've got to be very careful about how you play this one out. But yeah, that's just that's
no, you're right. I believe I agree. I agree with
shall we go on to CHH in the headlines?
Yeah.
I think it's been a very eventful year for CHH, especially the past couple of months. Over here in the UK, over there in the States. I think let's chop up one over in the UK first. We just dropped an article on Kingdom Culture about CHH, Christian rap, Christian hip hop on BBC. So and to all of our American listeners, the BBC is like, I don't know what the biggest channel is over in the US. I don't know.
I don't know either, unfortunately.
I know NBC or something like that. I don't know. What? Imagine one of your huge national channels that goes around the whole country. That's what the BBC is like over here. Yeah,
because it's taxpayer funded as well, partly.
There you go.
Yeah,
so literally it's everywhere. It goes to like, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 million homes around. And we had four artists who went on there to talk about Christian rap.
I was going to sneak you through the back door.
Yeah, he sneaked in on us. And we was like, oh, Calvin ain't coming in. But you know what? It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Definitely good to see you. So they, as I say, Christian rap on BBC over. It was on Sunday Morning Live on a Sunday program. It had MC Tempo, Still Shady, Jay Walker, and Snape Ring. So Christian rappers over in the UK, and we're talking about CHH in the headlines and the effect it's had on the community as a whole, and also the look and the seriousness of the genre and the community. It's starting to get a bit more widespread. We've got 2 points. And the first point is on Christian rap on the BBC. And just to share our thoughts on what we think about it. I'm not sure if you've seen the video, Calvin, on Kingdom Culture, But they had a small little freestyle session and discussed about what Christian hip hop is, and you know, and different things like that. So yeah, what's your thoughts on UK Christian hip hop on BBC?
Well, for me anyway, I was like, wow, you know, good to see that the BBC are putting something positive, because as they said, even though there's a lot of negative stuff in the media about drill music, Christian, well, not Christian drill music, but drill music in general. So I'm glad that they put some artists on there that do grime music and rap as well, you know, on there to say that, look, rap music is not all about guns and knives and, you know, whatever they're saying, that the negative side of it in the media at the moment, but they also can have a positive message. So it was good to see that they had, you know, our brothers on there representing. It was, even though, you know, I would have liked to have seen a longer part of it, but it was just still good to see it. And I was, you know, I'm just hoping it'll be more to come. A lot more will be to come. And also it will get people to, it's allow people to see that there is an alternative as well. Because some people don't even know that music exists. So,
well, even one of the presenters said, Christian rap, he goes, how is it different to, you know, the other rap, the secular rap, you know, why is it different? You know, so that they posed that Christian, they identified it, you know, as something that is different, like, you know, and I believe it was, I can't remember who it was, said that how it's woven in, you know, Christ is woven into the lyrics, the scriptures are woven into the lyrics, it's our worldview, the biblical worldview in music, which was good. And again, it's like, it wasn't, you know, normally I've seen, you know, Christian rap in the past, it's kind of like, you know, we don't really want to talk about any of that, but it was specifically for Christian hip hop, which was, I mean, really encouraging to see, man. I mean, that's a large network for that to go out on. And there was no mincing of words, there wasn't no sidestepping, it was direct, it was forward, it was it was really bold from all the brothers on there, like doing their thing.
I would have liked to hear Still Shady do a couple bars though. I was like, was he not gonna
So there was a section at the beginning when they were outside of BBC where Shady done a bit, but it wasn't really at bars in. It was more like yo, like 2 lines each kind of thing. But I think it's great to also see, like, you know, the band of brothers from all different parts of Christian rap in the UK as well, coming together and doing their thing. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was encouraging to see, if I'm honest. Like, but you know, it has the same effect for me as growing up in like kind of late 80s, 90s when you see Trevor McDonald, you know, do the 10. And I was like, because you don't really see positive black role models, like, other than sports stars, you know what I mean? And so Trevor McDonald had the same effect as Ian Wright, you know what I mean? And like, where you have guys from your neighborhood with your vernacular, your complexion, doing something, and it's now a positive thing. And so in the back of drill music being a negative, and look, it has all the stereotypes, let's face it. You see these black kids wearing, you know, balaclavas, and, you know, they're spitting bars, and for a culture such as even Britain, as diverse as it likes to claim it is, it's not diverse across the country. And so the BBC highlighting something which, let's face it, it's oxymoronic, Christian and hip hop. You think of hip hop, it has a connotation, it has like you know, it has a stereotype, and hip hop has really embraced that stereotype. They know people are scared outside of hip hop, and so they really embrace that. They're really like, with hip hop, especially in the 90s, especially the 80s, was very, very political, very, very, you know, challenging. 90s, we were flirting with the fact that it's popular now, and so to be controversial, you have to take it to another level. And nowadays, I don't know, man, it's very, very different, but it will divide opinion across, you know, even within Christian hip hop. And so to have BBC, you know, I don't know who made that decision, who thought it was a worthy segment, you know, but I'm glad they did, because there will be kids out there thinking, well, I know about Lecrae, I know about, let me see if there's any other UK, I see, you know, Still Shady. And let's face it, that was a diverse
Yeah, it was.
Panel. So even if they investigate and go, I'm not feeling that, they can investigate somebody else. And that's what it is, man. You know, it's going to spurn curiosity. And I've always felt Christian hip hop in the UK is still relatively new. You know, Lecrae winning the Grammy. Would there ever be a UK Christian rapper getting the #1, or Ivor Novella? Do you know what I mean? Or something that is, you know, a standard across all standards. Would it get to that point? You know what I mean? Where a person doesn't have to, you know, dance around the subject or whatever. They can just be like, hey, yeah, I'm a Christian. This is Christian rap or Christian whatever, fill in the blank. Will it get to that? I wonder, you know.
Well, I think we flirted with the idea with the Mobo. I feel like that was I think that Christian hip hop in the UK had a good season. I can't remember. I think it was like 05, 06 to 09, where we had like Governor, Triple, Faith Child. You know, we had was all up on there. And I know the Mobos have taken the time to have a breather and reconstruct and come with something a bit more, I guess, current. Is one of the words I'll use. I guess. Yeah, we have floated the idea, and I believe there's definitely more to come. You see Christian hip hop in the UK really maturing and developing it in its sound of itself, like, you know, taking hold of its own identity and turning it into something that can not only just generate funds for its scene, hopefully to be an industry, but also an influence as well. To say a lot of people are starting to say, not to say that we're looking for this approval, but to say that the recognition is coming nonetheless. Oh, Christian hip hop, Christian rap sounds good. I didn't know it could sound like this. You know, this sounds good. People have almost like a preset in their minds. Even to some people who have never heard Christian rap, have a preset in their minds to what they think it should sound like. And when they hear it for what it is, a lot of them are pleasantly surprised. Yeah. So we're not going to be too long on this podcast. We're going to flip this on over to Calvin, because as you joined, me and Cass was going to discuss this one, but since you've made such a cameo appearance, I'm straight in. We want to get your mindset, your thoughts, your viewpoint. You know, all of the news is out there, all over, splashed over the front pages of different newspapers and websites, and it's discussion in the community, and I'm sure it can be discussion for a long time. It's a pivotal moment. Yeah. Change in Christian hip hop around the whole world. When obviously the news broke a long time ago, but obviously it's come to its kind of like finality now. Versus it's Flame versus the giant of Capitol Records and Katy Perry and Dr. Luke and different producers and whatnot, taking on this behemoth of Capitol Records. You know, Flame made a song "Joyful Noise."
Yep.
And
they 2008,
yep. And they featuring Lecrae, and I believe the chorus was written by The Truth, if I'm correct. Could be wrong on that one, but I believe so, because Esso put out a tweet saying, "Yo, you wrote the chorus and whatnot." But do your own research, find out if that's true. Whatever. And claimed plagiarism and copyright infringement by Katy Perry, Capitol Records, and the producers involved. For her song called Dark Horse, which had occult themes and other things. Again, you know, do your research and whatnot. So we want to give it over to Calvin, you know, label owner, master, engineer, professional. I mean, you know, if this happened to you, you would be all up in there, you know, being a producer, being an engineer, being an executive producer. Please share your thoughts, you know, and also some pointers to artists in CHH for things to look out and so forth.
Yeah. So funny enough, as it goes, one of my artists contacted me regarding another producer actually took his beat, added some scratching on it, and he sold it. He's now, you know, reaping if he's getting any benefit from it. So I will be dancing on that bridge real soon. And he's considered a friend. He still is, and he's a brother too. So we got some work to do in that regard. So this is actually a really, really, like, I really thought long and hard on this one. And 1 minute I'm like, yeah, this is just straight up plagiarism. This is straight stolen. And then I'm like, wait a second, this is more plagiarism. And then I thought, well, how? He can't like own the minor chord, because there is some there's some changes in there that's not exactly the same. And so I don't want to sound like a fence sitter, but I will sound like a fence sitter on this one. This is groundbreaking, not just because it's a, kind of, let's face it, Christian hip hop is an underground form. And then you have a prominent pop artist she's known around the world. She can, pick up tour dates in any country and do multiple ones at that. I would love to be in that courtroom when you have these sort of musicologists trying to describe what was actually stolen. Because when it comes to contract law in music, when it comes to anything, a claim that somebody's stealing anything or someone has taken the concept, because that could also be copywritten, there has to be like an evidence, and they will put things side by side. And I know there's lots of side by side videos, and I've noticed people have been doing that wrong as well, because people have shown this sounds like this. Like when you do it like that, you'd be like, yeah, this sounds the same. Like it sounds similar. However, I felt that, let's face it, a jury that's going to sit there and not musicologists, they probably need somebody to have a keyboard to explain what was actually stolen, not just having the music side by side. I'm now thinking that this isn't, what was probably stolen was a concept as opposed to this musical motif. And so, and I want to kind of like camp on that part, because one needs to understand, especially if anyone who wants to get into music, you have to understand just a simple level of contract law, and you can literally, copyright law. You can copyright your lyrics, a general melody, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And so yeah, the lyrics, the general melody, and the concept. And so what I think is actually in play here is in part concept and melody. And that's where I disagree with the whole thing. The melody isn't the little synth stabs, because Katy Perry's melody is completely different to Flames, completely different. And so when you, if they wanted to say that, hey, this is plagiarism, then all it takes is a keyboardist to tell you that, hey, look, there's more piano movement. And when I mean movement, it's in every beat of the bar. There is a change in the note form. There's more piano movement in Katy Perry's than it is on Flames. Flames just does like this 3-note change, whereas Katy Perry does, I think, a 5-note change. So influence may be admissible in court, in my opinion. And I think even that is weak because of Katy Perry's melody on top of those. So what we're trying to say is they stole if Flame was to make a claim, they stole our musical motif. And that should be in court. And I don't think that would have won if they had a really good musicologist, because I think Flame's lawyer really, really did well. He won. You know what I mean? And so
he's done a great job.
What's scary is that if you listen to country music right now, if you have no idea about country music, you're going to be qualified when you listen and go, wait, doesn't that sound like virtually everybody on country music radio? And the answer is yes, because they're all copying each other. It's actually part of the industry now. And so there are many people online. Rick Beato is a good example, who says, wait, so are you going to copyright the minor scale? And we're now not going to use the minor scale in this fashion, in this order. You know, who's going to, because if you do that, that's going to literally rip out half the songs in the top 40. And so I think we're in a dangerous area right now if they're going to use the Flame court case for other potential plagiarism claims. And so moving that aside, I think it's important to address for the Christian audience out there, some of you, I had a couple of rappers who listened to this podcast, and shout out to Feed'em, for listening in. There's a couple of producers here in the US. Shout out to Impacts, who, you know, always give us feedback on, you know, what we say and break down, and they really appreciate it, because these guys are pretty much either on the road or in a day job or, you know, in the studio, and sometimes they don't interface with each other a lot, and so they consider this show as a water cooler moment, as we call it in the US. It's sort of like kind of like a whistle stop as to what's going on, and a barometer. It's like a thermometer on the industry, and we just kind of like highlighting that. So I appreciate the feedback, because it's kind of helping me. You know, we have a faceless audience, man. I mean, I see you guys, and I'm interacting and interfacing with you guys, but you know, so I just wanted to kind of pit stop there for a second to kind of say, hey, look, I recognize a lot of you are artists or want to be artists, and you know, let's face it, you know, you see that case, and you see the powerhouse of Capitol Records and Katy Perry in her account, and all the money that I had, and all the money that they lost because of this. How do you safeguard yourself to all of that? And so I just thought, hey, let me share this. Firstly, get yourself a Dropbox account, get yourself a Google Drive account. Wait, you know, I'm not giving any advertising credit to you know, Dropbox or Google Drive. Anywhere you can get some cloud-based you know, coverage or backup of your work, do so. The reason being is because once it is uploaded, there's a date, time, there's proof. It's like a copyright. The old way of doing things is that you used to burn a CD, all right, and you shove it in an envelope and then send it to yourself. But the reason being is because you get what is called a date stamp, time stamp. That's where it comes from. That's where the word time stamp comes from. Because if a 2008 beat was to go up against a 2013 beat, which is Katy Perry's production, you can prove who was first. That will help you. There will be no case without a date stamp. And so, you know, having a hard drive, like I've got one here, which I'm going to show you, I've got one. This is a good idea to have, but if, you know, God forbid you had a fire or something's happened to this, how are you going to prove that beat is your own? Unless you have a timestamp on a backed up file. You have timestamps on this, and I think they use something like this for court. But I just wanted to highlight, hey, you know, if you're in college age, high school age, and you're doing any work, I've lost work in TVU at the time, University of West London. It's my final work, and I lost everything, so I had to redo my music. But get one of these, and you got to remove half the headache for your projects now and your submissions for the near future. But if for any reason, it could happen 10 years later, someone goes, man, listen, that person's taking my, you know what I mean? Like, and it's usually people that do well that there's claims against, you know? So sort that out, because you no longer have to go onto websites. There are websites that you can copyright your work. That's not even required. It's not, you can have it, but you'd be paying these people money. It is, what they used was a hard drive to claim the date that this was created, the file was created. Secondly, if you're collaborating with a bunch of people, I remember I mentioned earlier that there's somebody we have to talk to. We're just going to talk to him, you know, no lawyers. We're just going to talk to him. He's a brother, and I've worked with him in the past, and, you know, he's sound otherwise. But if for any reason you have multiple individuals working with you on your track, you know, maybe someone jumped on keys for you, someone played the bass for you, you know, maybe someone claims that they were the originators of the hook, it's best before you even finish the project to download a form. I forgot the name of it, so I'll have to give you a link later on, I think. So see below for the link for the form that I'm referring to. And quite simply, all you have to do is just fill out who did what when and get everybody to sign it. Because I see it as an engineer, as a producer, you know, label owner. I've seen it so many times where arguments have come about. And obviously when it comes to relationships with brothers in the Lord, this can cause friction and can spoil long-term fellowship and even trust of working with other brothers in the community, for not having simple paperwork done, you know, having your T's crossed and your I's dotted. And so it's important to have this form, and I'm sorry that I forgot the name of it. I'm a little sleep deprived, but I'll make it through. Have that. These are the only two things, apart from a contract if you're working with a label, these are the only two documents. One's a virtual document, and the other one is and it can be a virtual one. You can have these forms online. These are the only two things that can safeguard your music and your relationship with the community going forward. Other than that, if you do see somebody like I have that has used your music or has, copywritten, used some of your material that you feel that, hey, wait, that's my right, this is my ownership, and you're using that. It could be a lyric, it could be a melody, and it could be the actual beat in itself. You can flag it by just going to Spotify, and then you can flag a song that's online. Anyone can do it, so you can flag up people, and please don't, because that's malicious. And then you have to back up your claim, and that's when you need these timestamps, and it will start to go into different proceedings at that point. So hopefully, like I said, I didn't want to sound like a fence here, but I think it's very, very important to sort of say, hey, there is a difference between a musical motif. Not
musical teeth.
Oh man, that's a good one. Music jokes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, that was good. That was sharp, man.
Yeah.
Clearly benefiting from your vacation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost forgot what I was saying. So there's a difference between copywriting the melody or the song, which is the notes and how it's put together, for one of a better expression, and then your lyrics. There is a mechanical rights. Usually mechanical rights goes to the label if you're working with a label, or if you're putting it out by yourself, you have mechanical rights of the whole production as a whole. So this actual physical, well, it's not physical, it's virtual musical form in its finished form belongs to X. So you have rights of how that is used if somebody wants to use a portion of it for YouTube, say, or, and so you have all these rights. It's important that if you have no idea about what's what, I would strongly suggest a book called All About the Music Business. We'll put a link for that one as well. It is a big reference book. It's not meant for you to read linearly. You can't read it like a storybook or a nonfiction or anything like that. It's a reference book, so you will go back to that several times. I suggest you buy it. I think it's on its 8th edition now at this point. Make sure you get the UK one, because you have UK law, and it covers everything from a UK standpoint across the world. Don't get the American one, because it's slightly different. And if there's any changes that even I don't know, it's going to be in the edition for your country. So even, because I know there's some African and Caribbean brothers that listen to this. So Caribbean, you're likely to fall under, it closely resembles the American one. And so, if there's any other version, if there's a Caribbean version, get that as well. It's worth it. And it's pretty expensive, but it's worth it. Like, you don't want to get messed up, because I can guarantee someone in Flames camp had to refer to that book, because it's pretty much considered the Bible in the music industry at whole, and it can help you.
So what about we've been talking about Christian hip hop artists, rappers. A lot of them lease beats. So what about in that regard? What would your advice be for them to look out for and things like that?
If you're a producer and you're leasing beats, make sure you're leasing beats on a recognizable website like BeatStars. The reason being is because they've taken all the legal aspects for you. They've done that. They've helped you in that regard, and you can put some limitations on how that music's going to be put out. And essentially, the reason why a producer will want to use leasing is because you can make more money on that one particular beat across multiple individuals, and so no one can claim mechanical rights. Only the producer that's put the beat on there. And so, as a producer, and this is the reason why for rappers that I still encourage them to purchase the beat. All right, so you can do whatever you want, you know what I mean? And then you can sue if somebody, consider music as an asset. So you either lease because you just want to get on a beat and just kickstart your career, you don't have full rights to how that beat is used. Yes, you can rearrange it. You got to get the stems. You can rearrange it. It's never going to be yours. You can make it more yours, but it's never mechanically yours. And so, you know, you may have a producer that will say, hey, as soon as I see you're getting 50,000, we have to renegotiate your contract. You have your beat out there, and maybe it is catching fire. Maybe it does hit the charts. You know, what you probably have to do is pay outright or renegotiate with the producer. And so it could be a great lightweight in, but it could also be a messy lightweight in. And so it's better to just work the few extra hours, man, by the beat out. Producer loves that anyway, because it keeps them afloat. Otherwise, everyone's going to have the same beat out there. What if the beat catches fire and the producer catches fire? If a producer catches fire, he can go back to all the beats, take them all off and sell them, because now they're this increased volume. You know, there's producers out here that's 5,000 a beat, $5,000 a beat. Can you imagine that he still wants that $25 beat out there? That's only probably making him, you know, maybe $1,000 a year. He can sell that quickly, 1,000, and just, you know, subsequently more. You know, you probably even have royalties on top of that. So yeah, I know that's a big, wider, convoluted response, but we could take emails, take comments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, put your comments in the comment section, and then, you know, Calvin can answer them for you. If you've got any more questions on our next episode, we can go back into it. We can answer it there and then online.
For sure. Yeah. It's been enlightening. The discussions that we've had today, especially like on wow, there's a lot of food for thought. And I think there's a lot of people, especially in the UK, for sure, since I was seeing is, you know, it's developing very, very slowly but surely. You have a lot of these questions about, you know, leasing beats, whether as an artist or as making them as a producer. Is it viable contractually? Where do I stand? You know, what are the things to be thinking about? You know, Cass, you're quite versed in PRS. What advice would you give to artists about PRS?
Well, again, there's other companies that you can use, not just PRS. There's other companies you can get to, so you can claim your rights. But again, it's just having everything in place, as Calvin said before that, because some people, you may claim rights on your music, but do you actually own the beat? Things like that. So certain things need to be in place first as well, before you then move on to that stage, sort of thing, so to speak. Because again, some people, I don't know, they may have, even that's another question as well. Some people may have done the beat themselves and don't actually know that it is actually a copywritten beat, because you subconsciously, you listen to music all the time. People that listen to music, and you don't realize that your influences are from other people's music. So when you've done the beat, it actually involves other people's, you know, beats, melodies, etc. And you may not know that. Hold on, by the way, that you may it can be classed as plagiarism if you don't, you know, credit artists, etc. So even things like that, people need to bear in mind, because it's not to say PRS is going to go out there and actually do that groundwork for you, so to speak. So you need to make sure you have everything in place.
Definitely.
Before someone comes for you, you know, otherwise someone will come for you for the rights of that. So,
you know, you touched on a point that really made me think. Like, yeah, we are products of influence. Like, you know, we're both DJ, right? So
we have a big memory music bank of beats.
There's no way that all of the 12 years as a career DJ that has not influenced me in the music that I even make now. And I'm doing rock and country and jazz, and as well as hip hop. And so, and obviously in hip hop, in its nature, you know, especially growing up in the 90s, that for me, hip hop was the heyday for me growing up. So like, there was so much jazz and hip hop, jazz and funk and, you know, even rock inside hip hop. So producers were listening to different, and they were influenced by different forms. And remember, that's, you know, we're always influenced by the generation, you know, 1 or 2 generations prior to us. So we're creatures of influence. There's no way that we would come up with something completely original unless it's an accident, or it, you know, sometimes we don't know where it comes from, but it may have been like, you may have been steered into a certain direction based on a combination of influences. You know what I mean? And so we all samplers, man. We all, you know, we all hear music differently. Yeah, I will hear something and you'll be like, yeah, this song, oh man, the lyrics, and you go off on those double entendres, and I might be, man, that beat though. You know what I mean? I'm hearing something else. And a bass player will be like, man, that's a great chord progression. We're all hearing something different.
Well, Calvin, what a great point. What about those people who start to rap in a similar pattern like another artist?
Yeah,
So,
man,
in the 90s, we couldn't do that.
I know. I know exactly. But look at now. Look at things like mumble rap and those types of styles. These are like, there's an artist who actually brought that style about. You get where I'm coming from? Like, so now, can an artist like that claim copyright on a style that they've generated themselves, I guess?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, when things get sort of normalized, like it is now, like everyone sort of sounds the same, the industry or the audience at large starts to cry out for something different. Just always the case, you know, when everything looks the same, you know, even in politics, like when the left looks like the right and the right looks like the left, you start crying out for someone that's a little different, rightly or wrongly. And we won't go into that. But the funny thing about influence is that sometimes, you know, one needs to be careful not to say, oh, you sound like, you know, to be worried about sounding like somebody else. Because at the end of the day, listen, if you are moved by a sound, like listen to reggae, for example. Reggae has such an iconic sound, beat, like how you treat the bass along the kick drum and the snare. There's rules to it. Yeah, influence. Like sometimes you can embrace influence too, you know. Like I'm influenced by funk music and soul music in a huge way. And so I cannot help but hear gospel and country and jazz through that lens. Just can't help it. Like, it's hard to take it off, you know? And so, yes, we have to be careful with our influence, but at the same time, we have to be careful how we are influenced by it, you know? It's strange to how we have like Bruno Mars accused of appropriation now. Like, what? That's a thing now? Like, he's the only one doing that at that level, and now we're saying he's kind of too good at it, and he really sounds like he's copying. It's like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, he's making good music. Just let the brother breathe, you know? Like, why do we get so like
great music?
Yeah, why do we get so like really caught up on it? Like, drill music has a formula, you know, like jungle, drum and bass. Like, there's a formula to it. If you actually slow down the beat and take out the kicks, then it's a completely different genre, and people that's into that camp is not going to feel it. And so if you're making a particular type of music, you have to understand the form and convention for you to flourish in it. But if you know, making completely original music is difficult.
Well, it's just like art, isn't it? You know, at what point does anime become copyrighted? Do you know what I mean? You know, it's a style that a lot of people will draw in, from Naruto to Aang, and the Airbender. And you go look at Family Guy. The way that's drawn is similar to how the Simpsons are drawn. You know, it's like, where do we draw the line? Art is a very, very, very great, like, heavily grade area, you know, and I think actually creativity and all those.
That might be the best place to land the plane, because, you know, God is the ultimate artist. You know, He said, "Let there be." So, like, the funny thing about music is, it's something from nothing, but there is something that began. You know what I mean? We're influences, all right? We're influences as influenced, but the original influencer is God, because He literally from nothing said, "Let there be." Like, He had to think about, you know, like in music, you got to have a vision, right? Or sometimes it's like you're doing something like, whoa, okay, unlocks the door, then you have a vision, all right? But God, He said, "Let there be. Let there be." And it was good. And it was good. And then it was really good. You know what I mean? Like, when you really think about influence, like you know, I mean, there's times I've been at the beach and I'm like, wow, man, I can do this. I can do, you know what I mean? Like, and so as Christians, let's look at these musical forms that surround us as an opportunity to kind of use them as vehicles to just emanate what's going on inside our hearts. And inside our hearts should also be, you know, obviously a heart of Christ. And so Christ will appear in life. This is our chance to kind of put graffiti on the wall and kind of go, hey, look at that. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Solid. Brilliant. Well, let's end episode 18 there. And catch us again on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google Play, on Apple, all of those platforms, whatever you choose, whatever you want, stream it, leave some comments, share it with some friends, get conversation going. You're part of this community that we're trying to build here as well. We want to be open, we want to be real, we want to be relevant. So yeah, catch us next time for episode 19. Until then, Cass in Florida, Calvin in Houston, Charles in plain old England.
You're listening to the UK Christian Hip Hop Podcast on Kingdom Culture.